Why don't you take whatever you're stealing and get your filthy hands off my neighbor's dryer before I call the police? You know that feeling when you're just trying to exist in your own home, maybe half awake, shuffling around in your pajamas, not a care in the world except the trivial stuff, like, will my socks wrinkle before I get them out of the dryer? That was me, first thing Saturday morning. The sun hadn't even fully burned off the dew, the garage door was cracked just enough for some air, and I was lost in the pure, mindless routine of laundry, bare feet, ratty tank top, feeling almost invisible in my own house. And then, right in the middle of all that peace, came a voice that shattered everything, like a fork dragged across a plate, sharp enough to make me flinch. I froze, my hand still inside the dryer, just staring at the pile of clean clothes, thinking, what the hell? I turned, and there she was, a woman standing on the edge of my driveway, radiating that energy only people who've never been told no seem to possess. Late 60s, helmet hair that probably needs its own insurance policy, decked out in cream-colored designer sweats meant for brunch, not the gym. She was holding her phone like it was a taser and already dialing. I just stood there, holding my own socks, feeling like a confused dog who's heard thunder for the first time. I'm sorry. Do I know you? I managed to mumble, which turned out to be the gasoline on her little bonfire. Her eyes narrowed, and she spat out. You don't know me, because you don't belong here. I'm the head of the neighborhood watch. I've been monitoring burglaries. People like you, sneaking into garages. And before I could process the insult, she was on 911, her voice high and panicked, calling in a report of a very large, very aggressive, black man stealing. I swear, for a second, I almost laughed, standing there in my blue pajama pants, holding a laundry basket, the most unthreatening thing in the world. But it wasn't funny. It was horrifying. I tried to keep my voice calm. Ma'am, this is my house. I live here. That's my car. That's my kid's bike. These are my clothes. I actually held up my boxers like a flag of surrender. She looked at me like I was a bug she'd just found in her salad and told the operator I was coming at her, threatening her. And then she bolted, slammed through her yard into the alley, and disappeared, leaving me standing there, heart pounding, laundry feeling heavy in my arms. But it wasn't over. Moments later, I heard her engine. Not a sedan, a luxury SUV, the kind that eats parking spaces for breakfast. Suddenly, a sickening crunch. My fence, my picket fence that I'd built with my own hands, was a pile of splinters, and her Range Rover was sitting right in the wreckage, engine still rumbling like a threat. She glared at me in the mirror, gunned the engine again, reversed out, and sped off, leaving tire tracks across my lawn. I was in shock. 5 minutes ago, I was folding t-shirts. Now, I'd been accused of burglary, the cops were coming, my fence was destroyed, and the person who did it was gone. All I could think was, is this real? Is this how it goes? I grabbed my phone, hands shaking, and started snapping pictures of the wrecked fence, the tire tracks, everything. It was my small act of defiance. You don't get to wreck my morning and rewrite the truth. And then, the sirens. I knew they were coming, but still, the dread hit hard. They weren't coming for her. They were coming for me. I stood in my driveway, a black man in pajamas, surrounded by chaos, trying to figure out how to explain the unexplainable. The cruiser rolled up. 2 officers got out, hands hovering by their belts. The older one just stared, then said, "We got a call about a burglary in progress." I did my best to keep it together. "Officer, this is my house. That woman, you'll see her driving away in a black Range Rover. She just called 911, crashed through my fence, and left. I have pictures. My ID's inside. I can show you." But he cut me off. "The caller says she's a neighbor. She claims you were trespassing, acting aggressive." And right on cue, there she was. She'd circled back, parking her SUV, marching over, phone in hand, eyes glistening with manufactured tears. Her performance was Oscar-worthy. "Thank God you're here, officers." He threatened me. I feared for my life. She breezed right past the ruined fence like it was invisible. Suddenly, the officer's body language softened. The older one asked if she was okay. The younger one, at least, kept looking at the demolished fence, then at me, then back to her. Something wasn't adding up for him. Still, they made me stand in my own driveway like a suspect. "Your ID?" I pointed to the kitchen. "It's inside." "No, stay here," the older officer snapped. My face burned with humiliation. Here I was, the homeowner, treated like a criminal. She dabbed at her dry eyes, whispering about my threatening posture. The young cop finally asked, "So, this is your house?" I nodded. "My family's been here 3 years." He pressed, "Your neighbors? The ones she says you're robbing?" "No one by that name lives here. That house is empty. The other side's an elderly couple, home all week." He turned to her, asked which house she meant. She stammered, made up a name. The older cop didn't care, asked me to describe something only the owner would know inside the house. I gave details: blue sofa, photos above it, kid's juice box on the coffee table. He checked, came back, nodded once. But even then, they still wanted my ID. This time, they flanked me like I was a dangerous prisoner, escorted me into my own house while I retrieved my wallet. Everything matched. My name, my address, no record, just a regular guy, a dad, a neighbor. The tension in the air was thick. And then, in shuffled Mr. Gable from down the street, the unofficial watcher of the block. Beverly tried to rope him in. "He was breaking in," she wailed. Gable frowned, looked at me, then at the wreckage, then back at her. "There's no Ainsworths here. That house is empty." But when the cop asked if he could vouch for me, all he said was, "Well, I see him around, but I've never been inside his house." Not a lie, not the truth, just enough doubt to keep the mud flying. That's when the younger officer put his foot down. "His license matches the address. He lives here. That's the homeowner." And just like that, Beverly's act slipped. She demanded to speak to a supervisor. The older cop called it a misunderstanding, as if that explained everything. My jaw clenched. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a targeted attack, and I was supposed to just let it go. When they left, I stood there in the ruins, exhausted, angry, humiliated. I cleaned up the laundry, locked the doors, and tried to breathe. What if my son had been there? What would he have seen? How would I explain the world to him? A world where his dad, in pajamas, is treated like a criminal because of the color of his skin. I called my brother. He's the practical one. "Did you get her license plate?" I smacked my forehead. No, I hadn't. But then I remembered the camera. I'd installed a security cam after some packages went missing. I pulled up the footage, and there it was, crystal clear. Her accusations, her face, her voice on the 911 call, the SUV smashing through my fence. My brother's voice hardened. "You got her. You got her dead to rights. Now, get a lawyer. A real one." I found the toughest civil rights attorney I could, Ms. Kararma, a woman with a shark smile and a mind like a steel trap. I showed her the video, told her about the misunderstanding in the police report, the pattern of Beverly's harassment, the Indian family who'd been run off years before, even the old court records showing how she'd weaponized the police before. "This isn't about offense," Ms. Kararma told me. "It's about power and hate. We're not just fixing your yard. We're making this right." But Beverly wasn't done. She countered with a restraining order, accused me of assault, filed new complaints, trying to paint me as the menace. Ms. Kararma told me, "Let her talk. The more she lies under oath, the deeper she digs her own grave." The weeks before the hearing were brutal. Neighbors whispered. My son asked why we couldn't play in the front yard. The police dragged their feet on her crimes. But we were ready. We had the video, the old lawsuits, the stories of families she'd driven out, a stack of evidence showing this wasn't just a bad day. This was her pattern. And when the day came, we played the video in court. Beverly's entire narrative collapsed in real time. Her lies, her 911 call, her hit and run, all exposed. The judge dismissed her restraining order, dropped the assault charge against me, and all those months of humiliation started to peel away. But Beverly's team tried one more move. They sent her son Julian, a lawyer, to threaten me, offer hush money, bribe me to stay quiet. I recorded the whole thing and handed it over. Ms. Kararma went on the attack. We filed a massive civil suit, not just for the fence, but for defamation, harassment, and punitive damages. The evidence was overwhelming. When they tried to drag it out, hoping to bleed me dry, the community stepped in. Neighbors brought tools and coffee, rebuilt my fence, chipped in for legal fees. Even the Indian family wrote to offer testimony. In the end, Beverly folded. The settlement covered everything: my legal costs, therapy, punitive damages, and, maybe most important, an ironclad order keeping her away from me and my family. She had to apologize to all the people she'd hurt, attend counseling, and And finally, the DA pressed charges for the false report. She pled guilty. A public record, a permanent stain on her name. So, yeah, I still jump a little when I see a cop car drive down my street. I still worry about what my son will think of the world. But I'm not the same person I was that morning. We fought. We forced the truth into the light. The system only works if you force it to, and that's exactly what we did. And now, the fence stands bright and new, a symbol of what happens when a community decides to stand together. The house on the corner is quiet. Beverly's curtain is drawn, but the street is changed. We talk more. We look out for each other. In some strange way, her attempt to destroy became the very thing that made us strong. But let me ask you, was it enough? Was justice really served? Or did the system just patch a wound it helped cause in the first place? I want to know what you think. Have you ever faced something like this in your own community? What would you have done? Tell me below. Let's talk about what justice should look like. And if we're brave enough, let's make sure the world listens.